After 5 years of deep work, I came out on a real high, a real powerful sense of worth, strength. It felt totally incredible. And then just a few weeks later, the rug was pulled out from under me. How do you stay connected to your center when the whole world is going caca around you? These are challenging times. They have been for a few years now. But even in the last month, there's so much that turned topsy-turvy for so many people. And when things are out of your control, things are out there going totally wacko, how do you find your way through? How do you find your true north? That's what I want to get into today, to bring you some simple techniques that you can apply to give you a sense of grounding, no matter how chaotic it gets out there. I'm Ravi Tangri, and this is SOULgineering Your Life and Work. And this is about how do you bring more heart, more soul into all of your life, into your work, your passion. How do you create more meaning, more focus, and more enduring results? So today, what we're going to get into is how do you stay connected to your core, to your strength? I mean, you're probably pretty resilient given all the things that you've come through in your life, and especially, as I say, the last 5 years. You've probably built a lot of strength, ability to adapt, ability to roll with things and move forward. But you know what? It doesn't matter how resilient you are. With the scale of change that we are living, things get turned inside out pretty fast. And if you're not continuously replenishing yourself, your resilience, no matter how high, is going to start to wear down. And I don't know if I've seen people who normally pretty strong, suddenly a tiny little thing happens and all of a sudden they snap. That is it. That is what pushed them just past the edge. And it's a little startling to see when it's someone who's normally very strong. So what I want to share with you is something that I went through very recently that was pretty turbulent, and how I found my way through, how I kept my center, even in the chaos, even in the caca, and bring you a couple of simple techniques that can help you find your way through the craziness. Not things that take hours to do, not about meditating on the mountaintop for hours or days. Simple little techniques that take just a minute or two, and it can help you shift your focus. Because you know what? It doesn't matter how strong you are. Pressures are building, and it is possible to lose focus, to lose energy, to feel drained. And here's the other side of it. If you're someone who's normally strong, everyone turns to you, don't they? Everyone comes to you because you're the one that they can count on. So guess what? Your energy goes to supporting them. You're losing energy, and it can wear you down. And the way things have been going, it's not always easy to replenish yourself. So what I want to bring you today are a couple of simple ways to help you through the craziness, through the caca, find a couple of moments to sort of breathe, reconnect with your center, replenish yourself, fill your well. Would that be useful? So I want to start off. Last year, I would say, was probably, if not the most challenging time, one of the most challenging times of my life. I started off the year on a huge high. I had been going through a lot of stuff for the previous 5 years, things coming up. It really doesn't matter specifics, but old things coming up that I had to work through, that I had to heal. And after 5 years of deep work, I came out on a real high, a real powerful sense of worth and strength, and knowing myself that I'd never known. And that was really amazing. And it felt totally incredible. And then just a few weeks later, the rug was pulled out from under me, and a very important part of my life was ripped to pieces. And I felt completely devastated, completely ripped apart, like my guts were torn out. And so this was this really bizarre sense of having this huge, huge high while having another part of my life just totally ripped to shreds. It was the most strange place to be. And what it precipitated was months and months of deep healing work. And what got me through it is, well, part of that is what I'm going to share with you today. I've spent a lot of work, a lot of time doing work, healing myself from traumas when I was in childhood, a political situation that got pretty messy. You may have heard my story. But I thought I had resolved a lot of it. I was very wrong. I mean, there's layers, there's always more, but I thought I'd come through the lion's share of that work. The kick in the teeth that I got in my life early last year surfaced depths of that pain that I did not realize that were there until I did the healing work. But the reason I was able to get to that healing work is, I think, because of that high that I got to just before things fell apart. I've learned to trust my intuition. It's literally saved my life a number of times. And a couple of things happened. Even though a big part of my life was falling to pieces, I felt the urge that I had to create a vision for myself of where I wanted to be. Normally, if I'm in that sort of caca, I'm not going to build a vision because you're in the midst of all this chaos. You have to sort that before you figure out where you want to be. But something inside me said, do it. And I've learned to listen to that inner voice, that inner knowing. And so I did. I built my vision. And it's actually the first time I've done it in years, even though I help people do it regularly in my coaching, in my retreats. I hadn't done it for a few years because of that deep work that I had been doing for 5 years, that healing work. But I built that vision, and it's anchored the strength that I had found early last year. Now, something else that came up in the midst of the pain that I was feeling, and I have no idea where it came from, but somewhere deep down, it said, I choose joy. And there wasn't a whole lot of joy at that point in my life. So it came down to a lot of times when something happened, this mantra came to me, I choose joy. And it surfaced many times through the year. But each day it was like, okay, I don't see a lot of joy in sight. But which path, which choice, which way of being will lead to joy versus the cesspool of suck? You know, I've spent a lot of my life living in the cesspool of suck. There's a lot of, as I say, trauma that I went through as a child that I've been healing that was something that anchored me in the cesspool of suck about, oh, how bad things are, expecting the worst, all of these sort of things. But I really believe that we've got a choice to choose joy or to choose the cesspool of suck. And even when you're in the cesspool of suck, which I wound up back in last year, the difference this time was I said, what path, what choice each day, each minute is going to lead me to joy? What's going to pull me out of the cesspool of suck? And I'll tell you, last spring, last summer, I cannot count how many days, how many hours, how probably hundreds of hours I spent walking in the water at the beach, because that's so incredibly healing. Not only are you earthing, the earth sucks all that ooky stuff that you're feeling out of you. You're in the water and that does it too. So the salt water sucks it into the ocean. And I spent so many hours just allowing that and allowing nature to help me, if not heal, at least find center. And I did loads of healing work on myself with professional help. And I worked really hard because for me, once I know something is there, I don't generally run from it. I go, okay, how do I resolve this? Once I know it's there, I need to heal. I need to work through it. I need to resolve it. And that led me to discover some healing modalities. I mean, I've been learning my whole adult life, and I can say that in the last 3 months, I've been doing healing work all my adult life. And in these last 3 months, I've probably gone deeper and done more than the rest of my adult life put together. But it was because I kept going step by step and I trusted what the universe brought to me, one after another, after another. One thing came, this insight, that insight. And step by step is which step led me to joy or would lead me to joy. And it took months before I actually did feel glimmers of joy. But it was that mantra, choose joy. I'm choosing joy. There's a clear choice of the cesspool of suck or joy. And I spent too much of my life mired in the cesspool of suck and will not stay there. And because of that, I'm now at a place I could never have dreamed of. I thought I had healed so much. I'm so far beyond that. It's beyond words. I cannot even put it into words. But the key thing was that mantra. And what tends to happen when everything is going on, what tends to happen is you get caught up in all the craziness, because especially if you're an empath, if you're sensitive, you pick up other people's stuff, technical term, stuff. You pick up their energy and you will often take it on. And there's been a lot of stuff that's happened that may have caused that. And it can weigh you down. What I did by doing the beach walks and other processes, other techniques that I used was started to lift that so I could sort of come back to me, find my center again. Now that was one strong mantra that led me through the whole year of healing. But there's a simple process that I've used in the past and that I've used with many of my coaching clients to really shift their lives. You don't have to be in that sort of crisis to get there. You can use it day by day and it replenishes you. And it's a simple concept that I call your thought for the day. And what it is, what normally happens is we just start our day and you get caught in the craziness and you'll go with whatever is going on. If it's good, you'll feel good for a while, but more often than not, caca happens and you get caught up in that and you can start to feel very heavy, very drained. What the thought for the day is you take about 5 minutes at the beginning of the day and you decide what is going to be your guiding thought for the day. Now, my thought for most of last year was choose joy, choosing joy. But it doesn't have to be that long. It could be for a day. It could be a few days. It could be as simple as breathe. Because when you get stressed, what happens? A lot of times we stop breathing. It could be relax under pressure. It could be smile. And what you do is you pick, you take about 5 minutes and you pick out things that are going to happen during the day. You close your eyes and you imagine going through the day guided by that thought. So if it's breathe, you may have a tense meeting coming up, and you can imagine yourself in the meeting as if you're there. Not like you're looking on TV screen, but as if you're right in the meeting and you just focus and you're saying to yourself, breathe. Someone's saying something that would likely set you off and you just say, breathe and feel yourself relaxing through it. Then you go through your day. If you drift off, if you get stressed, you just come back to your thought for the day and just go breathe or relax under pressure, whatever it is. You could write it on a post-it note and stick it on your computer screen. You could stick it on the wallpaper on your phone, whatever works for you. Okay. So that you keep reminding yourself of it. And it's just a simple thought of the day. Then at the end of the day, what you do is you take 5 minutes and you reflect. How did you do? And here's where you've got to be really careful. The tendency that people have is they beat themselves up. It's like, oh, I didn't do it here. I didn't do it there. Guess what? This is a muscle. It's going to take time. It's going to take practice to build it up. You can give yourself that grace. Like if you were to go straight into a gym and try to bench press a few 100 pounds, you'd probably injure yourself if that's not something you usually do. But if you worked up, you could get there. This is the same thing. As you do this day by day, you will start to get better at letting this thought become your guiding thought for the day. And the thing is, if you journal, this is a great way to journal. In the morning, you write down your thought for the day in the journal. You take 5 minutes to imagine yourself going through the day guided by this. You keep reminding yourself through the day, bring yourself back. You can put little alarms in your phone or with the reminders rather than the alarms on your phone. You can remind yourself so you take a minute to go back to your thought for the day. And then at the end of the day, you reflect on the difference that it made. So don't beat yourself up for when you didn't do it. Notice when you did. Even if you didn't do it and you missed it and you let yourself get carried away, maybe you caught yourself, and give yourself that grace, that credit that, okay, I caught myself. That's the first step, because then you'll catch yourself sooner, and then eventually it'll be something that you can catch yourself before the stress happens. Now, a lot of people get caught up in, oh, what should be the thought of the day? What is the right thought? What is the best one of the day? It doesn't matter. Just go with what feels right. You may have the same thought for many days. I had choosing joy for most of last year, and it's still, joy is my word for 2025. That is what I am choosing to live. Or it may just be a different thought each day. It's just see what comes to mind, because when you reflect at the end of the day, you will have a sense perhaps of what the next day should be. One thing I did for many months was I took the poem, The Desiderata, and I worked through it. So I started one day with the first line, go placidly amid the noise and haste. And that was my thought for the day for many days. And then when it felt right, I went to the next one and remember what peace there may be in silence, and use that as my thought for the day for the next day. And then continued that for several days till it felt right to move on to the next. If you have favorite quotes or favorite affirmations, those could be your thoughts for the day. I would keep them brief so that it's not too long, but you don't want paragraphs, because you don't want to be sitting there going, what is my thought for the day? You want to distill it down to a short sentence. But what this does is it gives you an anchor. When things are crazy out there, when things are chaotic, it gives you that anchor to find your center in you. Okay. Now, the second technique that can tie into this is a very simple one that you're probably very familiar with, the gratitude journal. At the end of the day, when you're reflecting on how things went today and how the thought for the day helped you, you can write down 1, 2, 3 things that you're most grateful for today, which could be 1 or 2 times when you did stick to this thought for the day. Or there could be other things. Now, there are days where it's one of those days, and all you can put down for gratitude is, I'm grateful I survived. Hey, that rocks. That works for certain days. But the thing is, the more you start to focus on the gratitude, on the positives, the more of those you'll see. Let me give you an example. Wherever you are now, unless you're driving, take a look around you, and perhaps even, yeah, do not do this when you're driving, definitely, but take a look around you and pick out everything that you can see that's red. Okay, everything. It could be signs, it could be clothing, it could be whatever is there, things on your computer screen, if that's where you are, on your phone, whatever you can do. Pick out everything that you can do that's red. Now, just for a moment, close your eyes. This is why you don't do this when you're driving. Close your eyes. And while your eyes are closed, name 3 things that are blue around you. How easy is that? Probably not easy, even if you're wearing blue, or perhaps there's more blue around you than red. Why is that? Because you are focused on seeing red. What we are is we are a society that has been conditioned to look at what goes wrong, to look for problems. We're a society of problem solvers. So guess what we look for? Problems. Guess what we find? Problems. So if all you're doing is seeing red, you're going to see a whole lot more red. All the things that go wrong, that don't work, that cause stress. There may be a lot of good things in your life, a lot of the blue, but because you're focused on the red, you're not seeing them. They go right by you. By doing the gratitude journal, by doing the thought for the day, you start to see more blue. You start to see more of what's working. There's one and only one factor that's been shown to reduce stress, and that's what's called personal power, which is the perceived feeling of control over yourself and what's happening around you. The more control, perceived control you feel you have over yourself and what's happening around you, the lower your stress, the higher your resilience. The less control you think you have over yourself and what's happening around you, the higher your stress, the lower your resilience. So if you are constantly seeing red, what you're doing is you're chipping away at your resilience and you're raising your stress. You are continually depleting yourself if you're focused on all the things that didn't go well. In contrast, if you look at how you're able to keep your focus, your center in the day through the thought for the day, if you're able to focus on what you're grateful for, on all the things that are working well, you can do a whole lot more. You can start to build your resilience. You reduce your stress. You become much more effective. You're much more centered. You're much more grounded. Now, the third thing I would suggest that's a big factor in this that really, really helped me is shutting off that crazy, uncontrollable self-talk that goes on in your head, because it can debilitate you. It can destroy you. Sometimes you can't sleep at night. You criticize yourself for all the things you messed up or should have done differently, or you're stressing yourself out over what could have happened. That was something that could easily have happened to me when the rug got pulled out for me. And it did sometimes last year. But when I went to my beach walks, when I did hikes in nature, when I meditated, I shut that off like that. And if you're interested in learning how to do that, I'm going to share my special Jedi mind trick with you in just a moment. Check it out, check it out. Are you ready for this? Probably the biggest driver of stress and the biggest thing that damages and wears down resilience is that nonstop head chatter. Now, you may meditate, but find it's a challenge because of that. Some people say they just can't meditate because of that. I can show you how to turn it off instantly, just like that. That would be useful to you if you'd like to be able to sleep without your head beating you up, and go through the day without beating yourself up for mistakes that you made or worrying about what's to come, so that you can focus on what you can do. I've got a free e-course that you can access at silenceselftalk.com, silenceselftalk.com, and just go there, sign up, and you can get this for free. All it will take is 1 week and about 15 minutes a day. And that 15 minutes is scattered through the day, a couple of minutes here, a couple of minutes there, a couple of minutes here, and then 10 minutes in a separate time. That's it for 1 week. And you will be able to turn that head chatter off just like that. So that's 3 simple techniques that you can start to play with to be able to find your center. I would pick the one that has the most energy for you and go with that, build that habit, and then you can add another. There's the thought for the day. There is the gratitude journal, and there's shutting off your self-talk. See which one has the most impact for you. I'm Ravi Tangri. This is SOULgineering Your Life and Work, and we'll see you next week on Tuesday at 11:11.
I've got the energy, it's all I need.